When the phone rings, you feel a sense of giving. It's like holding your hand out to somebody.
And then click. Someone says, "Hello, you're through to Switchboard, the LGBT+ helpline. How can I help?" The moment when you hear someone, a silent call, and you hear that breath, that apprehensive breath, they're still there, they're trying to talk to you.
You never knew what the caller was going to be when you picked up the phone. It could be anything from something very simple to something very serious. It could be someone saying, "Hi, I'm in London for the weekend. Do you know where there's any clubs and stuff that I can go to? You know, I'm looking for a leather bar, I'm looking for a BDSM place." And then you can get another call, which could be from someone that's just found out that they've got HIV/AIDS, and they just don't know what to do.
Switchboard was by us, for us.
It started in 1974. A year later, it was 24 hours.
Who was going to take that call that's, is it safe for me to swallow cum? Who's going to take that call? Where is the clitoris exactly? Who was going to take that call at that time but us? Who is going to understand what it feels like to walk along the street with your girlfriend, with your hands so close that you can almost touch, but dare not? Who else was going to get that?
The person on the other end of the line, first of all, said, "Can you hear me?" And I couldn't initially. And I think what I said was, "Can you speak up at all?" And the voice that came back to me, still in a whisper, was, "No, I'm in my garden shed and I don't want them to hear me." It was someone who needed support, who was clearly at a very dark time in their lives. This was a woman who was 1/3 of a throuple and had gone to her garden shed to call Switchboard because, despite being in a throuple, she was feeling the two other people within the relationship were alienating her, and she was wondering whether it was the right relationship for her to be in.
One of the calls that I used to quite enjoy would be when someone was preparing for someone to come over. This woman's coming over, she's due here really soon, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Some serious hand-holding is needed, but it has to be quick because you don't know when she's likely to arrive. I'm not a big believer in staying calm while the caller is in, a state. If she's in a state, I'm in a state with her. But the difference is that I've got a lot more experience to draw on, and so I can help find a way through it.
The word switchboard in itself means a connector, doesn't it? So historically, someone would call up an operator and be connected to the person that they really wanted to talk to. People call up Switchboard and hopefully we can connect them to the person they really want to become or who they really are.
when someone answers that phone, they are a member of the same community. They have a shared understanding. You can hear the on the end of the phone when someone says to me, right, okay, I can talk to you. You understand who I am.
I remember a woman caller who rang at the same time of year every year. She was in her 70s maybe, and she'd lost her partner, her female partner, had died. And no one knew they were together. So when she died, the support that she had for her grief would have been as if she was grieving for a friend. And not to belittle that grief, but this wasn't a friend. This was her partner, this was her lover, this was her life. And she would ring every year at the same time to talk to the volunteer, to be who she really was, to be out. She'd share memories of their life together, she'd laugh, she'd cry, she'd grieve. When you share a memory, you relive it a little. And I think in sharing those moments, her partner was alive again. If we helped her live a little longer with her lover, then that's lovely, I think.
When you're picking up the phone, you could have someone's life in your hands at the other end of that call. So you have to have the training, you have to have the understanding, but you have to have the empathy, not sympathy, but the empathy to know who that person is and what they're going through.
There was a series of calls that I think will stay with me for the rest of my life. They were from a woman who was living a long, long way from London. She felt she was attracted to women. She believed herself to be a lesbian. She seemed perfectly comfortable to use the term lesbian about herself, but she was in a very abusive marriage. And at first, she just wanted to talk about what it meant to be a lesbian and could she be a lesbian even though she was married. And of course I assured her that absolutely it's about what you're attracted to, what you want to do, rather than what you find yourself actually doing in a particular moment in time. She would ring fairly regularly. She got pregnant, she had a baby. She told me really terrible stories about how her husband had responded to the presence of the baby and the changes in her body. And I went on that journey with her.
I think so, yeah, probably.
In between the calls, when I spoke to her, I couldn't but weave alternative realities for her. I literally would plan things. I could pack bags in my head. I was imagining what you do with two tiny children and few resources and not many places to go, nowhere really to go. Yeah, I would bring all my creativity to that.
The volunteer helps you imagine what could happen next. In dialing the number, in reaching out in that way, you're allowing yourself, maybe for the first time, to have a future.
I believe that it's my job to be able to imagine the best possible outcome for the people I speak to on the phone. That's why I joined. I joined to see if we could make this imagined future reality, to smooth people's path. We are those sweepers in front of the curling stone, you know. And sometimes all that is to help you choose the very best outfit for Pride, you know. And other times it's about making enormous life changes.
evening calls, night shift calls, always are much more reflective, and the way that we reach out in the night is so different. It can somehow feel more desperate, more heavy, more sad.
One call that I had was 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was from the captain of a trawler who was off the Outer Hebrides. His crew were out pulling in the nets, and it was the only time that he could actually get to talk to anyone, because he couldn't come out in his own community. It's very restricted, it's very inward looking, and I was the first person that he'd spoken to about his sexuality and about being in the situation he was. He didn't see any particular way out of it. I don't think he was looking for a way out of it. I think he just wanted to be able to talk to someone and not have that person condemn or question who he was. I wonder what he did next. I wonder where he went. I just hope on that particular call for that particular time that he got some comfort to talk to someone from our community and be who he was.
One of the hardest calls I've ever taken was from a trans guy who had been in waiting lists for absolutely ages. And they were drowning. They were drowning in their gender dysphoria, saying things like, I can't wait anymore. You don't know how this feels. I don't think I can carry on like this. I heard a tone in that caller's voice that I don't think left. I hope that I helped in the moment and maybe for a bit after. But there wasn't anything that I could do. There's a really big part inside of you as a volunteer that is really worried that that waiting list is one person too long and that something could end up happening.
We did have people with full-blown AIDS phoning up, and they're in incredible pain and discomfort, and they know they're not going to get better. This is back at a time when people pretty much knew they weren't going to get better. And they were decided to take some pills and they were going to finish it. You weren't there to persuade them not to. You're there to listen to them and reflect back on what they're saying so that they might then think, well, maybe this isn't the right thing to do. But on occasions, they'd phone up after they'd taken it and they weren't going to tell you where they were. They weren't going to give you any information. They just wanted someone to talk to while they died. And then you do that metaphorical hand-holding until the phone goes silent and they've gone. And then you have to put the phone down, and then you go and talk to another volunteer, and usually you have a good cry.
Taking time to make a bit of space to look forward is really important, because I think what we focus on, we're more likely to be able to make happen.
There's a point in some switchboard calls where you can almost feel the weight lifting from someone's shoulders.
It's about opening doors to people, for them to see who they can be, to see outside, to see that possibility. Because And that's what our community is about. It's being who you are. So, and it's about opening that door for people who are not sure whether that door's actually there.
Sometimes people are surprised that in this day and age, there is still so much need for a telephone helpline. But there is something very important about another human voice.
Recently, I took this call from a trans woman who just wanted to chat. She talked about herself, she talked about the things that she did, the people that she met, who was nice to her and who wasn't, and who would use the right pronouns and her right name. I think she just wanted to talk to someone, to have a natter. She was her true self. She was this amazing woman talking to me about her life, just being who she is. And if you listen and you really, really listen, you hear so much more. The caller is going on a journey and the volunteer joins them for part of that journey, joins them in that dream. I imagined them getting to the top of the waiting list, and I remember saying that to them on the phone. You will get there. I think when you're a queer person, you have to rely on a queer future that is optimistic. You reach out, the volunteer answers, and they say to you, this is possible. You can dream, you can imagine. But more than all of those things, you can live it.